Okay, so now we're starting to get into like the clinic, human touch. This is Johnny, who was one of our interpreters. I forget what her name was, but she interpreted for us as well. And this is us at the top of the church that's built on top of where I showed you where the priests were, whatever, and more pictures of that are coming. This is the church. They don't have windows. They don't need windows, but these are windows, and these are little, I'm not sure what they are, maybe to like let more light in or whatever. So we had made up like this makeshift with like the pews or whatever, and more people came and sat and just sat and waited until we could get them. So then this is the clinic, just pictures. This is our little triage area. See, there's water for people, whatever. There's more people. These aren't the best pictures. And then this is Deb, who is one of the pediatric nurse practitioners, seeing the children and just taking care of whatever needs that they had. Okay.
You know, when we talked about
this was our pharmacy. This is our church
pharmacy in the clinic. The pharmacy in the pediatric area was this bench right there, and then there was another one parallel to it, and you tried to alphabetize, you tried to have some kind of system, but when we looked at that versus the other, we thought, wow, it's really like a mansion at the real clinic. But it worked. You got what you needed there, if we had it, or if we had the appropriate size needles or whatever. And Joyce will tell you a story about a little boy that was so sick that we didn't have the right size stuff.
And see this lady right here, Deb. Deb used to be a pharmacy tech or whatever. She now makes jewelry or something, so she's really non-medical, but she was excellent at dispensing the medications that we need. But I have to tell you a cute story about her. She would, it has to do with the language thing. Well, Terry just kept telling people should say, "Sitay," like means sit down, okay? So all day long, she's been saying this to people, come, sitay. So people kind of like look at her, whatever. Well, then Father Andrew comes later at the end of the day, and he hears, I'm sorry, but he hears Terry telling this lady, sitay, and the lady like just kind of like looked at her, and Father Andrew starts laughing. Now I don't know like the whole language thing, but she was saying sitay. No, she was saying sitay, meaning thinking she was saying in Creole to sit, okay? But it's actually shita, I think. Sitay means to shit. so for all day long, she's been telling people, just do it right here, come right here. So Father is like laughing, thinking, how long have you been saying that or whatever? She goes, I wondered why some people were like looking at me so funny. So language can be interesting at times. So this is just more of the clinic and tried to make, privacy barrier.
Yeah, so we just put up those blue, whatever, chuck kind of things, and so again, HIPAA, no, that's not, and they didn't care if their neighbor heard exactly what they were talking about.
And I would be so embarrassed to tell somebody I don't even know, but you tell about the bubbles. You bought the bubbles. It was your idea.
Oh, well, nothing other than, how inexpensive bubbles are. That kept these kids entertained for hours at a time. We had to be careful because we went through so many, then did we have any for the next day. But it was funny toward the end when we were at the clinic, the doctor there, they wanted the bubbles for even some of the adults, and the volunteers, the Haitian volunteers were having a good time with them too. So it's just amazing to think of something so little that we could even provide or help teach them how to make, if they had water, plenty of water, which they probably don't to even make them. Oh.
This is probably the most meaningful thing to me in Haiti. I want to tell you a story about this little boy. Back in our clinic we just showed you the previous picture of where Terry was, whatever. Deb is the nurse practitioner, and Deb comes up to me in our little triage area, and she said, can you give a shot of Rocephin for me? And Rocephin is an antibiotic. We use it at children's and places. It's pretty broad spectrum, covers lots of different bugs. It's a great medication, great antibiotic.
And this little boy had been moved to the front of the line because as they carried him, he was lifeless.
His mother was carrying him, and he looked lifeless. I mean, just lay there, okay? I did not know what was wrong with the kid when Deb came to me and said, would I give him a shot of Rocephin? I said, no, I'll give him one, whatever. Rocephin is a painful antibiotic, so typically when you give it, you mix it with lidocaine, which is like a numbing agency, kind of like Novocaine that you get, but lidocaine. And typically how it's given, you don't really want to give more than like 1 milliliter in a thigh in a small children. So when you reconstitute it, it usually makes about 2 milliliters or 1.8, whatever. So a lot of times we'll split the medication into 2 syringes. 2 nurses give it in the thigh, same time, to try to lessen the pain and make the child think really that you're only getting shot once and not twice. So Deb asked me, will I give this child a shot of Rocephin? I said yes. So I go to mix up the medication. When I go to mix up the medication, now we had brought supplies, okay? I look in the box, and the only thing we have are 18 gauge needles. Now an 18 gauge needle, if you're not medical, is like a darning needle. You know, typically you have like a little straight pin, even smaller than that. You know, you put it in. If you pricked yourself with a pin, you wouldn't be able to see the hole, you know, but you'd feel it. And I went back to Deb and I said, I can't put an 18 gauge needle in this kid. And she said, that's all we have. I'm going to cry. So I looked at her again and I said, I cannot put an 18 gauge needle in this child. And she said, that's all we have. So I mix up the medication and I'm thinking, like, you know, when your mother says this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you, seriously, that's what I thought. I thought, I cannot put this size needle in this child's thigh. And it was really bothering me. So I go to Colleen and I said, Colleen, can you help me, you know, give a shot of Rocephin? She said yes.
I said, I can hold, you do it.
So,
that was,
so when we went to give it, okay, the mother is holding this child, lifeless child. And I go to clean off his thigh when I realize that his right thigh is red, edematous, it's hot, it's inflamed, it's obviously the source of this child's infection. So now I don't have 2 thighs, we only have 1 thigh. I thought, I can't do this. So I do the first shot, and it leaves a hole in this child's thigh, and part of the medicine runs out.
Comes shooting back out.
Because the hole is so big. And I thought, I have to do this again, I can't do this. So I did. Was a wreck the rest of the day.
That was on Monday.
As we sat around the table that night, you know, I'm still feeling, I said, I don't know how I did that. I still feel bad. And they said, you did the right thing. The kid was sick and he needed the antibiotic. Did not feel good. This is the child 2 days later.
They didn't have them at the clinic. They found some later, but all they had there was this huge.
Mm-hmm. There was probably some smaller needles, but we did not have them with us, and we were away from the clinic because we had done, you know, the pediatric clinic in the church, and there was no way to get back there to do that or whatever. And then it's like, you know, you use what you have. It's like Father said, you know, they don't have things to run and do the test. But this was what was so amazing, because this lifeless child, and I'm telling you, he was lifeless. This is him 2 days later. He's walking, he was smiling, he walked down and he walked back. So I still feel very bad, but I think it was worth it. So.